Hello everyone, my name is Russell Wright from themezoom.com, and those of you who already use our application are of course already know me. In this video I'm going to be introducing some of the basic concepts that we're going to be uncovering and revealing at the ThemeZoom Certification Course 2010. Our ThemeZoom architect Sue Bell, who is at our Phoenix office, only comes out about once a year to talk to the general public about some of our developments, and that's what we're doing this year. I'm going to be covering the consultative service side, and in this video we're going to be talking about moving past the price-driven sale. We're getting past the price-driven sale, and that concept comes from our Power 5, which is the Power 5 books that I recommend when it comes to learning how to become a professional consultant, whether it's SEO or otherwise. If you want to become the highest paid and most respected trusted advisor in your field, you need to know the concepts that are in this book, Escaping the Price-Driven Sale. Now we've adapted them to the SEO and SEM industry, and we're going to be talking about those and giving you handout material as well as a deep education at certification on about how these work. Now Sue Bell has her own set of Power 5 books that are far more technical, having to do with the technical presentations of the Kraken and ThemeZoom material, website silo architecture, and then of course putting it all together is the difference between a novice and a highly paid SEO online marketing advisor. There's a huge difference between an online marketing advisor and trusted advisor and highly paid consultant and an SEO technician. And this is something, of course, that people who have been in the SEO field and are now making large amounts of money doing that know the difference between that and just merely being a technician. So you'll be walking away with the know-how and the skill sets to make that a reality at the ThemeZoom Certification Course 2010. So let's go over the Power 5 books that are on my list of Power 5 books that you need to literally have imbibed or kind of in your body to fully grasp with confidence how it is that you can become a trusted consultative advisor in the technology industry, specifically when it comes to business advice combined with what is becoming more and more technical when it comes to ranking on the search engines and including social media around. Okay, so we're going to start with the first book, which I already expressed as Escaping the Price-Driven Sale. The second book, which is an essential book, is Iconoclast by my favorite neuroscientist, Dr. Gregory Burns. And the reason neuroscience and cognitive neuroscience is becoming more and more of a trend is that in order to be a good consultant and a highly paid consultant, you have to understand such terminologies as cognitive bias and preferential bias, change blindness, these kinds of things. Because what you'll learn when you're escaping the price-driven sale is you want to help, your job is to help the client, the prospect, or even the customer come up with their own ideas. People are biased to their own preferences and their own ideas, even if those ideas are wrong. So as a consultant, you're actually trying to provide them with, which we'll discuss in a moment, unrecognized problems, unanticipated solutions, unseen opportunities, and you're trying to become a broker of their strengths for them. But you need to know how to wait to offer the opportunity until they see that there's a problem or a challenge before you offer an opportunity. In other words, you don't need to sell anymore. So this is why Iconoclast, which is all about presentation, the brain, and true movers and shakers and unique individuals that see the world literally differently from the level of cognitive neuroscience. It's an important book. Take your time reading it, just keep it around, and you'll find that good things happen to you when you start to imbibe and even keep the book around. Of course, the third book, which could even be the second as well, is what you're all familiar with from last year's certification, which is Super Crunchers. Super Crunchers is an indispensable read. It's kind of in the vein of Freakonomics, helps you understand about statistics, lies, and damn statistics. Helps you understand what are the lies and what are not the lies. What can you do with data versus with intuitivism? In other words, consulting for the last 50 years has been based primarily on intuition. Some people have been good at pointing out problems and helping the customer to see that their solution might be best. Others have been not so good at it. So the transition from selling and patronizing has been moving towards educating and becoming a trusted advisor. This is because of the internet. People check everywhere else before they ask a salesman. Salesmen are becoming obsolete. Consultative sales, however, is going to be on an increase. And when you understand the difference, you'll understand how to deal with numbers. Okay, and this is super crunchers. Numbers and statistics are changing our world. Everything from dating services to online airline ticket purchases, travel industry. You can get it cheaper online than when you call on the telephone. What is all that about? And what are the statistics and the numbers involved in all that? And how are these numbers being used against the ordinary man on the street? And how can you counteract those ordinary manipulative statistics and drivers that are being used in a more and more calculated and statistic type environment? In other words, super crunching deals with terabytes, even petabytes of information that some of these companies have access to when it comes to customer data, to the point where using what's called theoretically regression analysis, they can predict within a very high range of accuracy what it is that you're going to do before you even do it. So how can you counteract some of those things at the same time? How can you use those in your favor? As well as how can you become a Kraken cruncher, as we called it last year, and use some of this data to help you show the client where some of the problems and opportunities might be. So that's the third book. The fourth book is one that I don't have with me, but it's indispensable in the process of learning how to eventually get a client's website into a website silo architecture. Website silo architecture is a technical term that has to do with designing your website using linking structures that allows you to rank higher for hundreds, even thousands of keywords using far fewer inbound links than your competition. Although that's all well and good, the challenge that any consultant has, if they're not the owner of the business and they don't understand the products and the services, the big challenge is not really knowing the best way to categorize things. In other words, you have to set up your irresistible offer in order to fully grasp the position of your products and services in the industry. Hopefully, as a professional consultant, your clients would have already come to you with some of that knowledge. In other words, they would have been really great business, had very good business acumen, come to you fully categorizing their business products and their services, knowing whether those products were a vitamin or a painkiller, and fully comprehending the best and most profitable way to categorize those things. But when you have a client that comes to you with those things categorized perhaps not very well in relationship to just basic business, on top of that, they don't really understand how to categorize things. And then they're asking you to build a website silo architecture structure for their site. That puts doubly the pressure on you, because one issue, which is proper categorization, is about your business DNA and your irresistible offer, which is all about positioning of your product in the marketplace. Whereas website silo architecture could be viewed, if you wanted to, as just a purely technical function of getting a specific word on a page ranked with fewer inbound links in relationship to other pages. This is the trickiest part for anyone trying to teach website silo architecture. Even Bruce Clay, who was my mentor in the business, who began to show me how website silo architecture worked, had a challenging time at one of the certification courses getting everybody in the room to understand it quickly. So it's a real challenge. That's the fourth book, Irresistible Offer. This is really online marketing advice, not so much SEO or even SEM. You have to almost ask those questions of your client. The fifth book, of course, is the ThemeZoom certification manual, which you'll be provided with. It'll give you some diagrams and some progression of understanding from these books, include a lot of the ideas in Sue's Power 5 books, which include some analytics books, and she's much more technically inclined than I am, so she'll be providing you with the proper value and the best way to perceive and share information with your client as a form of data. She'll also be providing you the best tools, including Kraken and the last keyword tool, to use to provide the best value for your customer, regardless of the level of business that your company is in. So moving past the price-driven sale is really about Value equals benefits minus the cost. You've got to show your customer an unrecognized problem. 2, provide them with an unanticipated solution. 3, unseen opportunity. And 4, you got to be a broker of their strengths. These are the 4 things that the authors, Tom Snyder and Kevin Kearns of Escaping the Price-Driven Sale, discovered that act as neurological triggers in the brain, what we call a eureka moment in the mind or the brain of your customer, when they suddenly understand that you're providing high value that really can't be categorized necessarily only by looking at price. It creates a distinction and separates you from the rest of the pack by the very value, by the very fact that you've asked enough questions consultatively. You've created a slippery slope of questions that ultimately brings the customer around to the understanding of what the problem actually is. And sometimes they know that you've been the provider of that thought process, sometimes they don't. But at the end of the day, this care-based, consultative-based questioning from a top-level business advisory perspective distinguishes you from every other SEO or SEM technician out there. And this is why you have to be able to use these mind triggers in order to provide the ultimate value. As soon as you do this, and you find yourself not just having a sales conversation anymore, but providing value based on sheer consultative expertise, you've transformed yourself from a technician, and worse yet, a peddler or a seller of goods, into a trusted advisor online. We're going to give you a little bit of insight at certification. You know, we're just going to spend a couple hours looking at this process. And once you have the tools within Kraken or any other tool that you use to be able to show some of these unrecognized problems and specifically unseen opportunities, it's very easy for the customer to come to their own conclusion, even if they're not a highly technical person. A CEO doesn't know about HTML tags and what's wrong on their page and the rest. If an SEO comes and tells them there's something wrong on their page, they have to pretty much go on faith, unless it's the programming department of their company, if they're a large company. So you have to learn to bring down the language to a place that the ordinary decision maker can understand. Help them come to their own conclusion about the challenges. Unseen opportunity in the SEO business has primarily been about keywords and words that are not yet ranked for, and lost, what we call sieve or broken sales funnel, where they're losing leads or sales based on the wrong design of the page. These are all unseen opportunities, so you have to actually make that cognitive through distributed cognition. You have to show your customer or client what might be wrong on their site after analysis, where they might be losing leads. And when you do that, rather than trying to sell them something, they'll be able to draw their own conclusion just based on your value. So this is a brief introduction of the Power 5 and the value equals benefits, or escaping the price-driven sale. We look forward to seeing you at Certification 2010.